Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Boudreaux here for WGS-TV, and it is once again time for my Saints reactions video. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this will be a weekly thing here from now on here on WGS-TV to have a Saints reactions video all the way through the rest of the season. And just like we did last week when the Saints lost to Cleveland, which, by the way, they did not lose tonight, the final score, ladies and gentlemen, in the Saints-Steelers game, 20-10. Yours truly called it last night on the prediction video that the Saints only had a chance. They have to have a balanced attack. They did not have quite the balanced attack as I thought they should have, but they were able to perform a little bit better in the second half. But my honest opinion about how the game went comes right after you guessed it, folks, the stats. So how did this game go? Well, we're going to go by the stats, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to start with the stats. The player stats for the New Orleans Saints, with Drew Brees had 34 completions out of 44 attempts for 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. For the rushers, which is runners, by the way, Rev Jake Slayer, who's on Skype right now, the leading rusher for the team tonight was Julius Jones. He had 7 rushes for 16 yards and a long of 11. Ladell Betts had 3 for 8 yards and a long of 7. Chris Ivory had 7 rushes for 7 yards with a long of 6. Marcus Colston had 1 carry for 1 yard. That's when he was attempting to do the pass, but he had to run because he couldn't get a good grip on the ball. And Drew Brees, well, apparently from the kneels that he took at the end of the game, 3 carries for -2 yards. So they actually do count that when you take a kneel. It actually counts as a rush. Weird rule, but it's still. Now, as far as receiving goes, there are 2 top receivers. Robert Meacham had 6 receptions, 76 yards, with a long of 50, ladies and gentlemen, 50. Marcus Colston also had 6 receptions for 75 yards, 1 touchdown, with a long of 27. If you hear that, guys, in the background, Sean Payton is addressing the media right now. So I don't know if it would be all right for us to put that here in the reactions video. I'm just going to keep on reading the stats, but if you can hear that in the background, that's what's going on. It is Sean Payton addressing the media. One thing very quickly, he did address, if you guys didn't hear it, apparently the problem with Patrick Robinson, he was supposed to start the game. Well, he did, and then he went out after the first play. And apparently they said it was something to do with his ankle. Something to do with his ankle. They're not sure what it is exactly. They said they're going to look at it tomorrow and see how everything is. So that's the update right there. If you guys did not hear from Sean Payton and the press conference you just had, Patrick Robinson went out with an ankle problem, so that's why he did not start. Now back to the stats. Lance Moore, 7 receptions, 54 yards, 1 touchdown with a long of 18. Devery Henderson, 3 receptions for 33 yards with a long of 13. Jeremy Shockey also had 3 for 30 yards with a long of 14. Julius Jones had 3 for 20 with a long of 13. David Thomas had 4 for 15 with a long of 9. Heath Evans had a reception, for 2 yards. And Ladell Betts had a reception for no yards. Fumbles, Drew Brees had a fumble, which he lost. We all saw that. That was the turnover. And Darren Sharper had a fumble recovery, and he returned it for 11 yards. As far as kicking goes, Garrett Hartley had 2 field goals. He was perfect on both of them, 2 for 2, long of 31. He also was 2 for 2 on his extra points, so he had 8 points. Punting, Thomas Morstead had 4 punts with an average of 34.3 yards, and he pinned him down behind the 23 times with a long of 50. So that's actually a good number to see, ladies and gentlemen. When Thomas Morstead, when your punter only has about 4 punts in the entire game, that means your offense is doing something. Kickoff returns, ladies and gentlemen, there were only 3 kickoff returns by Courtney Roby, and he averaged 27 yards with a long of 39. Punt returns, there was only 1 punt return. It was by Lance Moore. Well, they had punts, but they were like fair catches and whatnot. There's only 1 punt that actually got returned, and it was from Lance Moore, and he went 17 yards for that. On the defensive side on the ball, ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Vilma leads the team in tackles with 6 tackles, 2 assisted, 1 sack. Scott Shanley had 5 tackles and 3 assists. Excuse me about that. All right, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Lee Torrance, by the way, who I would think would have to have the play of the game. The play of the game, which came with less than a minute left in the entire game in the 4th quarter, ladies and gentlemen, when he intercepted Ben Roethlisberger, which pretty much drove the stake right into the heart of the Steelers, ladies and gentlemen. He had 5 tackles, no assists, and he had that 1 interception, which killed it for the Steelers. Let's see, Darren Clark, 4 tackles, no assist. Michael Jenkins, 4 tackles, 1 assist. Roman Harper, 3 tackles, no assist. Cedric Ellis, 2 tackles. See, Michael Mitchell, if I'm saying that correctly, 2 tackles, no assist. Will Smith, 2 tackles, 1 assist, and recorded 1.5 sacks. Also, Mitchell had a forced fumble. He didn't recover it, but he still had that forced fumble. And I believe it's that fumble when he knocked the ball out loose, and Darren Sharper actually caught it on the fly, ladies and gentlemen. He caught it on the fly. It didn't even bounce. He caught it on the fly. So that in itself was amazing. See, Ramey Idell had one tackle and 1 assist. And let's see, we have Brown. These must be new players because I believe both starting corners were sidelined with an injury. It's A. Brown. We're gonna have to find out what his full name is, so that way it's not just going A. Brown. But Brown had 1 tackle with no assist, and so did Charleston with 1 tackle and no assist. You also had Anthony Hargrove with a tackle. Usama Young had 1 tackle. See, you had Daniel with 1 assist. Pearson Prelu had 2 assists and a half a sack. Darren Sharper had 1 assist. Total first downs for the Saints: by rushing, 13, by passing, 14, none by penalty. Third down efficiency, the Saints were 7 for 16 for 43%. They need to get that up. That's not good. Fourth down efficiency, 1 for 1, so that's good. Total net yards, 318. Total excuse me. Total rushing, passing plays, including sacks, ladies and gentlemen, 67 yards. Average gain per offensive play was 4.7. Net yards rushing, 30. Total rushing plays, 21. Average gain per rushing play was 1.4. Tackled for a loss. It happened 4 times and lost 8 yards. Net yards passing was 288. And the amount of times they were sacked 2 times for a loss of 17 yards. Gross yards passing, 305 yards. And again, just like I read with the set for Drew Brees, it goes for this part too. 34 out of 44 with 1 interception. Average gain per passing play, ladies and gentlemen, including the sacks, 6.3. Kickoffs, number of times it's in the end zone, and touchbacks. There were 5 kickoffs, 3 times it was in the end zone, 1 for a touchback. Punts, again, 4 punts, 43.8 yards was the net average, with none of them being blocked. Field goals blocked, there were none blocked. Total return yardage, excludes kickoffs, 38. There was, again, 1 punt return for 17 yards. Kickoff returns, again, 3 for 83. Interception returns, there was 1 interception that was returned for 21 yards. Penalties, it seems, been penalized 3 times for 35 yards. They lost the fumble, and they recovered a fumble. And they had 2 touchdowns, both of them by passing, none by rushing, none by interceptions or kickoff returns or anything like that. There were 2 extra points attempted, both of them made. No 2-point conversions, 2 field goals. Red zone efficiency, they need to work on that. It still needs to be worked on. 2 for 4, 50%. And with goal-to-goal efficiency, they were 1 out of 2, again, with 50%. That red zone efficiency and that goal-to-goal efficiency needs to go up. If they have a chance to make it into the playoffs, they need to work on that efficiency. They have to, ladies and gentlemen. That's the only way the Saints have a chance of making it into the playoffs and winning their games. They have to bring that efficiency up. Okay? There were no safeties in this game. And the time of the final score again for the Saints 20. Time of possession 34 minutes 6 seconds for the New Orleans Saints. Let me quickly look at here, and wow. This again, ladies and gentlemen, just like with the predictions video, this is going to be a two-part video. And while I have the time, for this, let me go ahead and read the team stats for the again for the Steelers. Total first downs for the Steelers 13, by rushing 7, by passing 6. Third down efficiency 3 out of 10 for 30%. Fourth down efficiency, they were 0 out of 1. You can pretty much get what that percentage is. Total net yards 279. Total rushing and passing plays, including sacks, was 52. Average gain per offensive play 5.4. Net yards rushing 108, with a total of 21 rushing plays, gaining 5.1 yards per play as the average. And they were tackled for loss 2 times, losing 2 yards. Net yards passing were 171, while they were sacked 3 times for a loss of 24. Gross yards passing was 195. Passing completion, they were 17 out of 28 with 1 interception, gaining 5.5 yards as their net average per passing play. 3 kickoffs, none of them were returned. There were 4 punts, averaging 48 yards per kick. And the net punting average was 43.8. Total return yardage for the Steelers 47. And punt returns, there were one punt return for 38 yards. Kickoff returns, there were 4 of them for 118 yards. Interceptions, 1 for 9 yards. Penalties, they were penalized 4 times for 38 yards. They had 2 fumbles. They lost 1 of them. They had touchdowns. They had 1 touchdown by a rushing play. They had extra points. There was 1 made. There was, the field goals, there were 1 out of 2 for 50%. And their red zone efficiency, goal-to-goal efficiency, 0 out of 1. Guess. And the final score for them was 10, with a time of possession 25 minutes and 54 seconds. As we have Chaser, the Ultimate Gamer, in here. Welcome into the Saints reactions video here. And I still have a little time left, so let me go ahead and give you my honest opinion here about how the game went. It was a very slow start, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very slow start to this game. It was mainly a clinic for the defense in the first half of the New Orleans Saints versus the Steelers, because both offenses were just horrible. They were just horrible. It was a total bore, a total snooze fest in that first half. In fact, I believe at halftime the score was tied 3-3. It was a total snore fest in the first half of this game, ladies and gentlemen. But when the second half picked up, the Saints got the kickoff return and went down, and they were only able to get a field goal. But ever since then, they did not look back. They did not look back. The Saints never looked better in the second half, because I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, after one of the most boring first halves I've ever seen the Saints play, it was good to see that they actually picked it up in the second half and won this game with a final score of 20-10. Now, they got the Carolina Panthers next week, and on a quick side note, ladies and gentlemen, I was very surprised to hear that Jake Delhomme is no longer with the Carolina Panthers. And, as good as he was, as good as he is, that he's not there anymore. So, again, that's a total shocker to yours truly. I really don't follow Carolina that much, but whenever I thought Carolina Panthers, I always thought Jake Delhomme. So I'm very shocked to hear that Jake Delhomme is no longer there. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to conclude the reactions video for this week. Again, the Saints are victorious over the Steelers by a score of 20-10. I'd like to thank everybody quickly. Ashley, Hitman, Jackie, Ministry, Snicks, RevJake Slater, Chaser, the Ultimate Gamer, otherwise known as Scooter on Blog TV, and Slick for joining me. By the way, if you watched the game, hey, give me your comments. How did you think the game went? You heard my opinions. I want to hear yours. Again, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I respond to everybody's comment. Wherever you see this video, I respond to everybody's comment. So, until next week when the Saints take on the Carolina Panthers in Charlotte, I'm Double B Billy Boudreaux. Thanks for watching this Saints Reactions video.